recitation contest of 2021. Ninth, right. I had to look up there. We've been doing them for 9 years now. And this year we have a huge group of contestants, so it's going to be very exciting. A lot of interest has been generated in this recitation contest over the years, and it is a great chance for students to showcase their skills. So because we have so many contestants, we are going to go a little bit over time perhaps, so I'm not going to spend too much time on introduction. I'm going to move along fairly quickly. My name is Alan Thompson. I'll be the MC today, and I'd like to introduce the judges for today's contest and then the judging criteria. If the judges can simply stand up and wave or bow when I call your name. So first we have Paul Wicking from Meiji University. David Barker from Gifu University. And Rachel Emery from Hattori Board of Education. They will have a very difficult job of deciding the winners in this contest according to these three criteria. English prosody, that is the rhythm, stress, intonation with the natural patterns that the contestants have practiced. And English, oh sorry, I missed the first one, sorry. It's too far up. English phonemes, that is pronunciation of the sounds of English, and then English prosody, and then presence, whether a contestant appears natural and with their body and with their gestures provides a good message to us. There will also be a penalty for going over time. So contestants, I think you have practiced and timed your recitations, so be careful. And without any further ado, I'd like to move along to our first contestant. And as the contestants are, I believe, ready. So the first contestant is Miyu Suzuki, aiming for an equal society.
I graduated from university 4 years ago. I had always dreamed of going, and I know how fortunate I am to have the opportunity to do so. Brown became my home, my community, and I took the ideas and experiences I had there into all of my social interactions, into my workplace, into my politics, into all aspects of my life. I know that my university experience shaped who I am, and of course, it does for many people. But if our experience shows us that women don't belong in leadership, what if it shows us that yes, women can study, but they shouldn't lead a seminar? What if, as still in many places around the world, it tells us that women don't belong at all? What if, as is the case in far too many universities, we are given the message that sexual violence is actually a form of violence? But we know that if you change students' experiences so they have different expectations of the world around them, expectations of equality, society will change. We need to see equal respect. We need to see equal respect, leadership, and pay. The university experience shows us that women don't belong. The university experience must tell women that their brain power is valued, and not just that, but that they belong within the leadership of the university itself. And so importantly, right now, the university must make it clear that the safety of women, minorities, and anyone who may be vulnerable is a right, not a privilege. A university should be a place of refuge that takes action against all forms of violence. I'm delighted to introduce this report, and I'm eager to hear what's next. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Ryota Suzuki. Don't cry.
Quickly, we see that Jesus looks, and he turns over. He says, "Woman!" He says, "Don't cry!" These two words show us so much about the nature and the characteristics of Jesus Christ. It tells us that we serve a God who actually cares about feelings. Maybe you don't think that Jesus sees you. You don't think that your problems are big enough to get his attention. Friend, hear me tonight. We serve a Savior who looks at us and he says, "Don't cry." He sees you tonight. One version says this. The King James Version of the Bible says that he had a compassion for her. I like that word, compassion. It means a deep sense of sorrow followed by a deep desire to alleviate suffering. So you see, most of us, if we are honest, we live in the realm of sympathy. You know sympathy, right? Like you're going through your channel at night, you're watching TV, something sad comes on with a bunch of kids in Africa, and they don't have enough food, you know? That is a sad. You kind of shed a tear. You feel something, but before you know it, you've already changed the channel. You back to the Kardashians. It's called sympathy, but the sympathy and the compassion is one word. It's called action. See, when Jesus sees her, he says, "Don't cry." There's a lot of way to attach to those two little words. You and I, we say don't cry. It's just a kind of our knee-jerk reaction. There's not much we can really do to reverse it, to change it. But Jesus says, "Don't cry." It's because he's fixing to take the impossible, turn it into the possible. He is the God who says weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes morning light. Late in the midnight hour, we serve a God who can turn you around, says, yet it shows us so much about Jesus. Don't cry. I'm fixing to turn this situation around. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Miyu Takahashi. People can change.
When I was growing up, homosexuality was synonymous with the word abomination. And hell, most of my unconscious adolescence, I played the getaway at my Jesus camps. But in the middle, overall, in a twist of events, I found my gift. And my gift introduced me to people outside my bubble, and my bubble started to burst. These people were nothing like what I had been taught to fear. They were the most free, strong, kind, and inclusive people I have ever met. They stimulated my mind and they filled my heart with joy and they freaking dance all the while doing it. These people are actually magic. And they're magic because they're living their truth. Oh my goodness, what a revelation and not the last chapter of the Bible. Suffice to say, it's been a long road for me. I'm sure a long road for many of you out there. I know it doesn't always feel safe to live out who you are. But here's the thing though, I would not chosen a different road. You don't get to choose your family, but you can choose a tribe. Many of the people I admire and trust and work with belong to the LGBTQ community. Without them, I will have the person I am today. My life is rich in every capacity because of them. They are trusted allies that provide a safe space to fall, to know it all, and to make mistakes. These are the people I hold dear. See, I hope I stand here as little evidence for all that no matter where you came from, it's about where you are going. And the real change, real evolution, and real perception shift can happen if we open our minds and soften our hearts. People can change. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Koki Yamada, Bunboku Chagama.
Once there was a kind man named Bunsaku. He had an antique shop, but the shop had no customers. He was very poor. One day, Bunsaku found an old kettle. He brought it back to his shop and cleaned it. The next day, Bunsaku had a voice in the shop. Hello there. Who's there? Bunsaku asked and looked around. It's me, the kettle. Bunsaku was very surprised. Pop! Suddenly, the kettle changed into a tanuki. You are a tanuki? Amazing! Yes, I am. Thank you for saving me. Now, I'm going to help you. But the tanuki still had a kettle on his back. The tanuki started dancing on the loop. People came to see the tanuki dance. It was very funny. The shop filled up with customers. And so the man and the tanuki lived happily ever after. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Juna Oiwa, The Courage to Tell a Hidden Story.
When I turned 19, I started my career as the first female photojournalist in the Gaza Strip Palestine. My work as a woman photographer was considered a serious insult to local traditions and created a lasting stigma for me and my family. The male-dominated field made my presence unwelcome by all possible means. They made clear that a woman must not do a man's job. Photo agencies in Gaza refused to train me because of my gender. The no sign was pretty clear. 3 of my colleagues went as far as to drive me to an open airstrike area, where the explosion sounds were the only thing I could hear. Dust was flying in the air, and the ground was shaking like a swing beneath me. I only realized we weren't there to document the event when the 3 of them got back into the armored jeep and drove away, waving and laughing, leaving me behind in the open airstrike zone. For a moment, I felt terrified, humiliated, and sorry for myself. My colleague's action was not the only death threat I have received, but it was the most dangerous one. My work is not meant to hide the scars of war, but to show the full frame of unseen stories of Gazans. As a Palestinian female photographer, the journey of struggle, survival, and everyday life has inspired me to overcome the community taboo and see a different side of war and its aftermath. I became a witness with a choice to run away or stand still. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Kaide Shin, Hannah Gadsby on being a woman in a man's world.
All my life, I've been told that I'm a man hater. I don't hate men, but I'm afraid of men. If I'm the only woman in a room full of men, I'm afraid. And if you think that's unusual, you're not speaking to the women in your life. I don't hate men, but I wonder how a man would feel if they'd lived my life. Because it was a man who sexually abused me when I was a child. It was a man who beat the shit out of me when I was 17, my prime. It was two men who raped me when I was barely in my 20s. Tell me, why is that okay? Why was it okay to pick me off the back like that and do that to me? It would have been more humane to just take me out to the backpack and put the bullet in my head. If it is that much of a crime to be different. I don't tell you this so you think of me as a victim. I'm not a victim. I tell you this because my story has value. My story has value. I tell you this because I want you to know. I need you to know what I know. To be rendered powerless does not destroy your humanity. Your resilience is your humanity. The only people who lose their humanity are those who believe they have the right to render another human being powerless. They are the weak. To yield and not break, that is incredible strength. You destroy the woman. You destroy the past she represents. I will not allow my story to be destroyed. What I would have done to have heard a story like mine, not for blame, not for reputation, not for money, not for power, but to feel less alone, to feel connected. I want my story heard because, ironically, I believe Picasso was right. I believe we could paint a better world if we learned how to see from all perspectives, as many perspectives as we possibly could. Because diversity is strength. Difference is a teacher. Fear difference. You learn nothing.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Masahiro Dashiruba. You is the meaning.
Mom, please wake up. Please get up. Then I finally got nervous, woke up to her, and as I closed her, I could see my mama for the first time. She was so beautiful. She was dressed in white. And I just stood over her and I said, Mom, you are my hero. Everything I am, everything I hope to be, because you love me so much. You gave me a life. You're the only one that ever believed in me. And how we pair her? By getting drunk, by getting high, by getting stupid, by hanging out with losers. For what? All she ever wanted to do was talk to me. I wish I could talk to you now, Mom. I wish you could see what I'm doing. Why couldn't I have been a better son? We are defined by our choices. If you surround yourself with the people involved in drugs and alcohol and pills, it's dead end. I'm not here to preach to you. I am here to tell you I live their life. It leads to broken heart, broken relationship, broken dreams, and death. For what? To get high? If you have a mother and a father in your house, When you go home, tell them how much you love them. My whole life was about being rich and famous. I had to be a millionaire. I had to win a race. I had to win a race at the expense of my marriage, my family, my friends. For what? To be all alone in the world? I learned what is truly important. And that is how precious this gift of life is. And how precious this life is. It's not what's in your pocket that matters. It's what in your heart that truly matters. Love. Love is just a word until somebody comes along and give its meaning. You are the meaning. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Kengo Nakajima. Do it.
Learn and say, fuck you to the world every once in a while. You've every right to. You must practice being stupid, dumb, unthinking, empty. Then you'll be able to do. I have much confidence in you, even though you're tormenting yourself. The work is very good. Try to do something bad. Try to do some bad work. The worst you can think of, see what happens, but when you relax, let everything go to hell. Don't worry about cool. Make your own uncool. Make your own world. If you feel, make it work for you. Draw and paint your fear and anxiety and stop worrying about big, deep things such as to decide on a purpose, a valuable life, a consistent approach to even some impossible end or even an unimagined end. You are not responsible for the world. You are only responsible for your work, so just do it. But if life would be easier for you if you stop working, then stop. Don't punish yourself. However, I think that it is so deeply ingrained in you that it would be better for you to do. Shock yourself. You have at your power the ability to do anything. Just to stop thinking, worrying, looking over your shoulder, wondering, doubting, fearing, hurting, hoping for some easy way out, struggling, grasping, confusing, itching, scratching, mumbling, bumbling, grumbling, humbling, stumbling, numbling, rambling, gambling, tumbling, scumbling, scrambling, hitching, hatching, bitching, moaning, groaning, honing, boning, hole shooting, hair splitting, nitpicking, teeth trickling, nose sticking, ass gouging, eyeball poking, finger pointing, alleyway sneaking, long railing, small stepping, evil eyeing, back scratching, searching, perching, besmirching, grinding away at yourself. Stop it and just do.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Ryosei Nakamura. Weird or just different?
So imagine you are standing on the street anywhere in America, and a Japanese man comes up to you and says, "Excuse me, what is the name of this block?" And you say, "I'm sorry, well, this is Oak Street, that's Elm Street, this is 26th, and that's 27th. He says, "Okay, but what is the name of that block?" And you say, "Well, blocks don't have names, streets have names. Blocks are just the unnamed spaces in between streets." He leaves a little confused and disappointed. So now imagine you are standing on the street anywhere in Japan. You turn to a person next to you and say, "Excuse me, what is the name of this street?" And they say, "Oh, well, that's block 17, and this is block 16. You say, "Okay, but what is the name of this street?" And they say, "Well, streets don't have names, blocks have names. Just look at Google Maps here. There's block 14, 15, 16, 17, 19. All of these blocks have names. The streets are just the unnamed spaces in between the blocks. You say, okay then, how do you know your home address? He said, well, easy. This is District 8. There's block 17, house number 1. You say, okay, but walking around the neighborhood, I noticed that the house numbers don't go in order. He said, of course they do. They go in the order in which they were built. The first house ever built on the block is house number 1. The second house ever built is house number 2. Third is house number 3. It's easy. It's obvious. So I love that sometimes we need to go to the opposite side of the world to realize assumptions we didn't even know we had, and realize that the opposite of them may also be true. And this map is also accurate. There's a saying that whatever true thing you can say about India, the opposite is also true. So let's never forget, whether at the recitation contest or anywhere else, that whatever brilliant ideas you have or hear, that the opposite may also be true. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next contestant is Kaide Hattori, the speech of Conan O'Brien.
You've been challenged your entire lives, and you've demonstrated one of the most precious qualities one can have: resilience. Now, cynics like to mock the supposedly spoiled or callow youth of the new millennia. But you have seen and survived so much. And one way or the other, your hard-won resilience has gotten you here today, to your TV or phone or tablet or smartwatch, to graduate from Harvard, come hell or high water. As the father of 2 teenagers, I look at all you've achieved in your frightful world, and it gives me great hope. You are a remarkable example to my kids of how to be smart and brave and, yes, resilient in a scary world. I have nothing to give you that you don't already have and have had for a very long time. What I can offer is my boundless admiration, my deepest respect, my gratitude for working so hard and bringing such honor to your families and your faculties and your alumni. Our current troubles will pass, and you will laugh and thrive and experience great joy. I cannot wait to see what you fine people will accomplish. And I know one day, years from now, one of you will stand where I stand, here in my backyard, and I will have you arrested for trespassing. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Sakura Fukumoto, Legally Blonde.
Miss Wyndham, what had you done earlier that day? I got up, got a latte, went to the gym, got a perm, and came home. Where you got in the shower? I believe that witness has made it clear that she was in the shower. Yes, Your Honor. Miss Wyndham, has you ever gotten a perm before? Yes. How many would you say? 2 years since I was 12. You do the math. You know, a girl in my sorority, Tracy Marcinko, got a perm once. We all tried to talk her out of it. Girls want a good look for her. She didn't have a bone structure. But thankfully, that same day, she entered a beta data pilot t-shirt contest where she was completely hosed down from head to toe. Objection! Why is this relevant? Oh, I have a point, I promise. Then make it. Yes, ma'am. Courtney, why is it that Tracy Marcinko's curls were ruined when she got hosed down? Because it got wet? Exactly. Because isn't it the first cardinal rule of perm maintenance that you're forbidden to wet your hair for at least 24 hours after getting a perm, at the risk of deactivating with the ammonium thioglycolate? And wouldn't somebody who's had, say, 30 perms before in their life be well aware of this rule? And if in fact you weren't washing your hair, as I suspect you weren't because your curls are still intact, wouldn't you have heard a gunshot? And if in fact you had heard a gunshot, Brock Wyndham wouldn't have had time to hide a gun before you got downstairs, which would mean that you would have to have found Mrs. Wyndham with a gun in her hand to make your story plausible. Isn't that right? She's my age. Did she tell you that? How would you feel if your father married someone who was your age? You, however, had time to hide a gun, didn't you, Courtney? After you shot your father. I didn't mean to shoot him. I thought it was you walking through the door. Oh my God. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Yamato Matsubara. How to Sound Smart in Your TEDx Talk by Will Stephen.
Up. Hear that? That's nothing. Which is what I, as a speaker at today's conference, have for you. I have nothing. And yet, through my manner of speaking, I will make it seem like I do. Like what I'm saying is brilliant. Now, I'm going to start with the opening. I'm going to make a lot of hand gestures. I'm going to adjust my glasses. And then I'm going to ask her a question. By show of hands, how many of you have been asked a question before? Okay, great. I'm seeing some hands. And again, I have nothing here. Now, I'm going to react to that. I make it factual. This is a real thing that's happening right now. The number of talks, that is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then almost immediately following that, we get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the more field here. 18, 237, 2.6 million. 4, 24, staggering. These are real numbers of them. Now, if we were, say, watching this on YouTube with sound off, you might think, okay, this kind of what he's talking about. But I don't. I'm floundering, panicking. I got nothing. But you know what? I was there for the TED Talk. And damn it, I'm going to sit through, and now I'm just going to start saying gibberish. Wagga wah, gabba gabba, turkey, mouse on the mouse, chip, trip, my dog skip, names, things, words, and more things. And see, it feels like it might make sense, doesn't it? Like maybe, just maybe, I'm feeling some sort of satisfying conclusion. I'm pacing, I'm growing in intensity. I'm taking off my glasses, which by the way are just frames. I wouldn't look smart, even though my vision is perfect. And now, I'm going to change the tone. I'm going to make it seem like I'm building to a moment. What if I was? Amazing, isn't it? You know, there's one thing you away from my talk. I'd like you to think about what you had at the beginning. I'd like you to think about what you hear now. Because it was nothing, and it's nothing. Think about that. Or don't, that's fine. Now, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Sayuri Ito. I feel pretty.
When we are little girls, we have all the confidence in the world. We will let our bullies hang out, and we just dance and play and pick up wedges. And then these things happen that just they make us question ourselves. Somebody says something mean to the playground, and then we grow up. And you doubt yourself over and over again until you lose all that confidence. All the self-esteem, all the faith you started with is gone. But what if they don't let those moments get to us? What if we were stronger than that? Right? What if we didn't care about how we looked or how we sounded? What if we never lost little girl confidence? What if when someone tells us that we are good or thin or pretty enough, we have strength and wisdom to say what I am is better than all of that? Because what I am is me. I'm me. And I'm proud to be me. And if you ever get the chance to hang out with me and my friends, my amazing, perfect friends, well, all I have to say to you is, you are welcome. We are real women. We are, what a great thing to be. A real, healthy, just strong, funny, kick-ass chick. This new line of products won't change your life. Only you can do that. And you can do that. Believe me. But this line is for every girl who is ready to believe in herself. You are beautiful. You are everything. And you are the real face of this line. And we are all the face of Lily Claire. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Misaki Kaba. Speak yourself.
Today, I am who I am, with all my faults and my mistakes. Tomorrow, I might be a tiny bit wiser, and that'll be me too. These faults and mistakes are what I am, making up the brighter stars and the constellation of my life. I have come to love myself for who I am, for who I was, and for who I hope to become. After releasing our Love Yourself albums and launching the Love Myself campaign, we started to hear remarkable stories of our fans all over the world, how our messages help them hardships in life and start loving themselves. So let's take one more step. We have learned to love ourselves. So now I urge you to speak yourself. I like to ask all of you. What is your name? What excites you and makes your heart beat? Tell me your story. I want to hear voice. I want to hear conviction. No matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color, your gender identity, just speak yourself. Find your name, find your voice by speaking yourself. Like most people, I've made many and plenty of mistakes in my life. I have many faults, and I have many more fears. But I'm going to embrace myself as hard as I can. And I'm starting to love myself gradually, just little by little. What is your name? Speak yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Ayumi Shimizu. How to sound smart in your TEDx talk.
I was offered a TED Talk, and damn it, I'm gonna see it through. And now, as these continue, I'm just start saying gibberish. Wagga wah, gabba gabba. Chip trip, my dog skip. Rip it, chip it, Richard. I'm an itsy bitsy baby bopper. Brad Pitt, Uma Thurman, names, things, words, and more things. And see, it feels like it might make sense, doesn't it? Like maybe, just maybe, I'm building some sort of satisfying conclusion. I mean, I'm gesticulating as thought I am. I'm pacing, I'm growing in intensity. I'm taking off my glasses, which by the way are just frames. I wore them to look smart, even though my vision is perfect. And now, I'm going to slow things down a little bit. I'm going to change the tone. I'm going to make it seem like I'm building to a moment. What if I was? Amazing, isn't it? What can we do? Life's a roller coaster. You know, if there's one thing you to take away from my talk, I'd like you to think about what you heard at the beginning. And I'd like you to think about what you hear now. Because it was nothing. And still nothing. Think about that. Or don't. That's fine. And now I'm going to stop talking. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Naoki Tashiro, the schwa. Listen carefully.
Hi, can I ask a question? How do you pronounce this word? Well, if you need to put an emphasis on the word, then you'd pronounce it can. And this is probably the pronunciation that you are most familiar with. But actually, the more natural to pronounce it is kun. So why is it pronounced like this? Well, in English, important words such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs need to be pronounced clearly with stress because these words contain very important information when we communicate. On the other hand, everything else, such as prepositions, auxiliary verbs, articles, etc., are considered relatively unimportant. So we don't have to pronounce them as clearly. Now, here's the interesting part. When we pronounce these unimportant words, most of the time, we use the same sound, which is called schwa in English. Listen carefully. This would be wrong. I can give you a ride to the park. Very unnatural. Now, let me mark the unimportant words. Remember, these are all pronounced with a schwa sound. So the correct way to say this would be, I can give you a ride to the park. So repeat after me. I can give you a ride to the park. I can give you a ride to the park. That sounds much more natural. Oh, by the way, can I ask a question? How long is my recitation? 140 seconds. And how many times did I use a sound in my performance so far? 101. So by the end of my recitation, I want this number to become 140.
That'll mean that on average, I'd have used this sound once every second. That's how commonly used this sound is, and that's why you should master it too. So let me ask a question one more time. Please remember what I said a few seconds ago. How many times did I use a sound in my performance so far? 138. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Our next contestant is, you need to turn this, is Haruka Hashimoto, and let's make sure the mic is set up. Okay. What schools should be for in an equitable society?
I know that my university experience shaped who I am. And of course, it does for many people. But what if our experience at university shows us that women don't belong in leadership? What if it shows us that yes, women can study, but they shouldn't lead a seminar? As we leave home for the first time to study at the places that we have worked so hard to get, we must not see or experience double standards. We need to see equal respect, leadership, and pay. The university experience must tell women that the brain power is valued. And not just that, but they belong within the leadership of the university itself. A university should be a place of refuge that takes action against all forms of violence. That's why we believe the students should leave university believing in, striving for, and expecting societies of true equality. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Mana Matsura, Hillary Clinton's concession speech.
And to the young people in particular, I hope you will hear this. I have, as Tim said, spent my entire adult life fighting for what I believe in. I've had successes and I've had setbacks, sometimes really painful ones. Many of you are at the beginning of a professional, public, and political careers. You will have successes and setbacks too. This road hurts, but please never stop believing that fighting for what's right is worth it. And all the women, and especially the young women who put their faith in this campaign and in me, I want you to know that nothing has made me prouder than to be your champion. I know we have still not shattered the highest and hardest goal ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now. And to the little girls who are watching this, never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next contestant is Sayoko Okamoto, Awakening by Les Brown.
most of us go through life pretending that we don't have any special goals or ambitions or desires when really deep down inside we do really want more. We block ourselves and we use these words almost like we were in a trance. That we find a way to cancel out our dreams. That a lot of things that we want to do, a lot of places we would like to go, a lot of things we would like to experience. And we just stop at but. But most people, you know what they do? Most people go through life quietly and safely, tiptoe into an early grave. We've been holding back. We have ideas that we don't act on, things that we want to do. We were afraid to take chances. A lot of people say no to things and they don't even know what they're saying no to. Don't allow but to keep you in the corner. A lot of people say, but I tried once or twice and it didn't work out. So they use that as an excuse not to ever come out again. Even if things don't work out, even if I experience defeat or failure, that does not make me a failure. There is a difference between failing and being a failure. Why don't you decide now? You can expand your word. That if other people can learn, you can learn too. If you're working on a dream, sure, there are going to be times when you're going to want to give up. If you decide to act on your dream, if you don't decide to make a decision to live your life, it will never work for you. Life is too short and unpredictable. But what do we say? There will always be tomorrow. Oh no. There's no guarantee that you're going to show up tomorrow. So if you want to do something, if you thought about something you want to do, take it head on. Life will never be the same. Live your dream. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Akie Dioma. Grit, the power of passion and perseverance.
I started studying kids and adults in all kinds of super challenging settings. And in every study, my question was, who is successful here and why? My research team and I went to West Point Military Academy. We tried to predict which cadets would stay in military training and which would drop out. We went to the National Spelling Bee and tried to predict which children would advance farthest in the competition. We partnered with private companies asking which of these salespeople is going to keep their jobs and who's going to earn the most money. In all those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, wasn't good looks, physical health, and it wasn't IQ. It was grit. Grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. So far, the best idea I've heard about building grit in kids is something called growth mindset. This is an idea developed at Stanford University by Carol Dweck, and it is the belief that the ability to learn is not fixed, that it can change with your effort. So growth mindset is a great idea for building grit, but we need more. And that's where I'm going to end my remarks, because that's where we are. That's the work that stands before us. We need to take our best ideas, our strongest intuitions, and we need to test them. We need to measure whether we've been successful, and we have to be willing to fail, to be wrong, to start over again with lessons learned. In other words, we need to be greedy about getting our kids grittier. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Takefumi Ariga, The Power of Words.
What? Or you all think smoking kills? Let me tell you something. The amount of people dying from diabetes are 3 times as many people dying from smoking. The leading cause of lung cancer is not a cigarette, it's your DNA. I used these arguments, even though I just made them up, with a group of my friends, and the results, 5 of them believed what I said and 2 of them started smoking. So words can change someone's mind or destroy someone's happiness. My friend, Nasser, he loved his father, and he would do anything to make him happy, but his father was the kind of person who was not easy to impress. And year after year, Nasser tried, and his father was like, no. First year in college, Nasser got straight A's, and he thought to himself, this is what will finally make my dad proud. And he called his dad. Dad, I got straight A's. Are you proud? Yeah, listen, son, I'll have to call you back. I'm busy. I'm busy was the single sentence that broke the camel's back. And he started drinking and doing drugs. Nasser, why? Why are you throwing your life away? If the one person in the world that I care about the most doesn't care, then why should I? And one evening, I got the phone call. Nasser is in the emergency room. Drug overdose. I rushed to that hospital. I saw him on that bed. And I saw that machine go beep, beep, beep. And I saw doctors try to bring him back to life. Clear, clear, clear. It's clear that a single word could have saved this life. Words have power. Words are power. Words could be your power. You can change your life, inspire your nation, and make this world a beautiful place. Isn't that what we all wanted? Your mouth can spit venom, or it can mend a broken soul. Everyone look, let that be our goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestants are Ryoka Ito and Misato Hirose. What it takes to be racially literate.
Today, we are here to raise the standards of racial literacy, to redefine what it means to be racially literate.
We want us all to imagine the community as a place where we not only feel proud of our own backgrounds, but can also invest in others' experiences as if they were our own. And you think after 12 years, somebody in or out of the classroom would have helped us understand,
at a basic level at least,
the society we live in.
The truth for almost all our classmates is that they don't. If you don't go searching for an education about race, for racial literacy,
you won't get it. It won't just come to you.
Even though we did have conversations about race, our understanding was always superficial. We realized that there is a big gap in our racial literacy, the mind gap, an inability to understand the larger systemic ways in which racism operates. For us, sometimes we would talk about people's personal, unique experiences in the classroom. Stuff like how Sandra in DC once told us.
When I'm with my Korean family, I know how to move with them. I know what to do in order to help them feel like I care about them. and making and sharing food is one of the most fundamental ways of showing love. When I'm with my partner who's not Korean, however, we have had to grapple with the fact that I'm very food-centric, and he's just not. One time, he said that he didn't want to be expected to make food for me, and I got really upset.
That might seem like a weird reaction, but only if we don't recognize how it's emblematic of something larger, something deeper. And without her and her partner having the nuanced understanding of her reaction and the historical context behind it, it could easily lead to unnecessary fighting. That's why it's so important that we proactively co-create.
Every day, we are still blown away by people's experiences, by the complexity of our collective racial reality.
There are approximately 7.4 billion people on the planet.
So we have a lot to listen to.
And a lot to learn. Today, so few of us understand each other.
We don't know how to communicate,
live together,
love one another. We need to all work together to create a new national community.
A new shared culture of mutual suffering and celebration. Once we all do, we'll be that much closer to living in spaces and systems that fight and care equally for all of us.
Then, none of us will be able to remain distant.
Let's all get to work!
Thank you very much. Our next contestant is Yoshiteru Goto. Before I die, I want to...
There are a lot of ways that people around us can help improve our lives. We don't bump into every neighbor, so a lot of wisdom never gets passed on. Though we do share the same public spaces. So over the past few years, I've tried ways to share more with my neighbors in public space using simple tools like stickers, stencils, and chalk. Now I live in New Orleans, and I am in love with New Orleans. The city has some of the most beautiful architecture in the world, but it also has the highest amounts of abandoned properties in America. I live near this house, and I thought about how I could make a nicer space for my neighborhood. So with help from all the new friends, I turned the side of this abandoned house into a giant chalkboard and stenciled it with a fill-in-the-blank sentence. Before I die, I want to. So anyone walking by can pick up a piece of chalk, reflect on their life, and share their personal aspirations in public space. And I'd like to share a few things that people wrote on this wall. Before I die, I want to straddle international dateline. Before I die, I want to sing for millions. Before I die, I want to hold her one more time. Before I die, I want to be someone's cavalry. Before I die, I want to be completely myself. Death is something that we are often discouraged to talk about or even think about, but I realized that preparing for death is one of the most empowering things you can do. Thinking about death clarifies your life. Our shared spaces can better reflect what matters to us as individuals and as a community. And with more ways to share our hopes, fears, and stories, the people around us can not only help us make better places, they can help us lead better lives. Before you die, what do you want to do? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Hazuki Shimo, the ugliest.
Recently, I was driving my daughter to school, and she said to me, out of the blue, "Mama," I said, "Yes, baby." She said, "I'm the ugliest girl I know." And I said, "Huh?" And she was like, "Yeah, I look like a boy with long hair." And my brain went to, "Oh my God, you're 6. Why? Who said this?" But I didn't say anything, and instead I went home. I made a PowerPoint presentation for her. And in that presentation were androgynous rock stars and artists that, living the truth, are probably made fun of every day of their life and carry on and wave their flag and inspire the rest of us. These are artists like Michael Jackson and David Bowie and Freddie Mercury, George Michael, Elton John, and so many artists. Her eyes glazed over. But then I said, "You know, I really want to know why you feel this way about yourself." And she said, "Well, I look like a boy." And I said, "What do you think I look like?" And she said, "Well, you are beautiful." And I was like, "Well, thanks." But I said, when people make fun of me, it's just what they use. They say that I look like a boy, I'm too masculine. And I said to her, I said, "Do you see me growing my hair?" She said, "No, Mama." I said, "Do you see me changing my body?" "No, Mama." "Do you see me changing the way I present myself to the world?" "No, Mama." "Do you see me selling at arenas all over the world?" "Yes, Mama." "Okay, so baby girl, we don't change. We take the gravel and the shell, we make a pole. And we help other people to change so they can see more kinds of beauty. Thank you for being at yourselves and for lighting the way for us. I'm so inspired by you guys. There's so much that shit happening right now in music. And keep doing it, keep shining for the rest of us to see. Thank you, guys. Good night."
Thank you. Our next contestant is Dioma Nagao, Logic, 1-800-273-8255.
You don't gotta die today. You don't gotta die. Now let me tell you why. I know where you've been, where you are, where you're going. I know your reason. I believe in life. What's the day without a little night? It can be hard. It can be so hard. You got everything to give right now. I want you to be alive. I want you to be alive. Okay, I just want to take a moment right now and thank you all so much for giving me a platform to talk about something the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. Mental health, anxiety, suicide, depression, so much more that I talk about on this album. From racism, discrimination, sexism, domestic violence, sexual assault, and so much more. I don't give a damn if you're black, white, or any color in between. I don't care if you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're gay, you're straight. I'm here to fight for equality because I believe that we are all born equal, but we are not treated equally, and that is why we must fight. We must fight for the equality of every man, woman, and child, regardless of race, religion, color, creed, and sexual orientation. So I say here and now, if you believe in this message of my lessons of peace, love, positivity, and equality for all, then I demand that you rise to your feet and applaud not only for yourselves, but for the foundation we are laying for our children. I say forward, you say children. Forward, 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 forward. One more time, forward. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Atsuto Nakano, Marugame Udon, a quick guide.
Hey everybody, welcome inside Japan. Today, we'll be taking a quick look at Marugame Udon. The three most popular noodles in Japan are ramen, soba, and udon. There are thousands of great ramen shops in Japan, but when you say udon, I think Marugame Udon, Japan's largest udon chain with over thousands of restaurants. I think it's a nice place to pop in for a quick and healthy meal every now and then. They specialize in the thick wheat flour noodles, and it's most commonly served in a mild broth called kake udon. You begin by ordering your noodles. You can choose from a variety of sizes from small to extra large based on the dish in your appetite. Once they hand in your freshly cooked noodles, you can choose from a variety of toppings. And side dishes are available as you move toward the register. The most popular are shrimp and vegetable tempura. They have a variety of rice bowls as well. Following that, you pay at register, grab a seat, and grab some water and tea from the self-service area. I usually order the curry udon and grab a couple of chicken tempura. The last time I was in Hawaii, I was surprised to see the huge lines outside of Marugame in Waikiki. And with locations in the several major US cities, it seems to be quite a hit. In any case, if you have a chance to stop in, I think it's definitely worth your time. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Inside Japan. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Mai Watanabe, valedictorian Paxton Smith, a commencement speech on abortion rights at Lake Highlands High School in Texas.
Okay. As we leave high school, we need to make our voices heard. Recently, the heartbeat bill was passed in Texas. Starting September, there will be abandoned abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, regardless of whether the pregnancy was a result of rape or incest. 6 weeks, that's all women get. And so before they realize, most of them don't realize that they are pregnant by 6 weeks. So before they have a chance to decide if they are emotionally, physically, and financially stable enough to carry out a full-term pregnancy, before they have a chance to decide if they can take on the responsibility of bringing another human being into the world, the decision is made for them by a stranger. I have dreams and hopes and ambitions. Every girl graduating today does. And we have spent our entire lives working towards our future. And without our input and without our consent, our control over that future has been stripped away from us. I am terrified that if my contraceptives fail, I am terrified that if I am raped, then my hopes and aspirations and dreams and effort for the future will no longer matter. I hope you can feel how gut-wrenching that is. I hope you can feel how dehumanizing it is to have the autonomy over your own body taken away from you. And I'm talking about this today, on the day as important as this. On the day honoring 12 years of hard academic work. On the day where we are all gathered together. On the day where you're most inclined to listen to a voice like mine, a woman's voice. To tell you that this is a problem, and it's a problem that cannot wait, and I cannot give up this platform to promote complacency and peace when there is a war on my body, a war on my rights, a war on the lives of your mothers, a war on the lives of your sisters, a war on the lives of your daughters. We cannot stay silent. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Haruka Watabe. People can change.
I'm just a singer-songwriter, honestly. I speak my truth, and they paint my fantasies into these little bite-sized pop songs. For instance, I kissed a girl and I liked it. Truth be told, A, I did more than that. And B, how was I gonna reconcile that with a gospel singing girl raised in youth groups that were pro-conversion camps? When I was growing up, homosexuality was synonymous with the word abomination. And hell, a place of gnashing of teeth and burning of skin. No way, no way. I wanted the pearly gates and the unlimited froyo toppings. Most of my adolescence, I prayed a getaway and made Jesus camps. But in the middle of it all, in a trace of events, I found my gift. And my gift introduced me to people outside my bubble, and my bubble started to burst. These people are actually magic, and they are magic because they are living their truth. Oh my goodness, what a revelation and not last chapter of the Bible. See, I hope I stand here as real evidence for all, that no matter where you came from, it's about where you are going. And that real change and real evolution can happen if we open our minds and soften our hearts. People can change. Believe me, it would have been easier just to say the whipped cream, tet spring, poppy light, fluffy fan anthems by the way of animal totem singing girl, who was basically somewhat neutral in her stance, and just thought more hacks could save the world. No way. No longer can I sit in silence. I have to stand for what I know is true, and that is equality and justice for all, period. These days, I get an incomparable high from finally knowing myself, and it feels more real than any story I was ever told as a child. It feels sparkly as fuck. Truth be told, I think a lot of that has to do with the magic that has rubbed off on me from all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now we need to take a few minutes to let the judges decide. And I know it's been a long time, but if you can stay, we will let them take the time to decide, and then they will come back with the winners and some remarks for us. So this is our another break. I'll call you back soon. Can you find a seat? We are ready to announce the winners. So please have a seat or stand, but we will begin very soon. Once I think everyone's here. Okay, so we've waited a long time, so let's. Oh, one of our judges is not here, but she's on her way, is she? Okay. So we have 7 prizes, and I will begin by announcing the 3 special prizes, and then I will announce 4, 3, 2, and 1. The 3 special prizes are in no particular order. One of the special prizes goes to Kaide Shin. Congratulations. And you can come up the step. You can wait on stage, please. Another special prize goes to Sakura Fukumoto. can step up. Congratulations. And the third special prize goes to Takefumi Ariga. Congratulations. And now, the fourth prize goes to Masahiro Dashiraba. Congratulations. Third place, Akie Dioma. Congratulations. Second place, Ayumi Shimizu. Congratulations. And first place for this 9th recitation contest goes to Naoki Tashiro. Congratulations. Now, the first to fourth place winners are able to choose their gifts, which are here, beside Nagao Sensei has them. So without any further ceremony, let's, could you explain them? Yes.
I meant this to be prize for the first prize, but if you already have an iPad, you can choose Apple Watch or AirPods or Google Nest Hub. It's up to you. All right. I'm going to stop telling you the price.
And can we have a round of applause for all of the contestants, because this was a very enjoyable set of recitations to watch. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank all of, sorry, before I get to the thanking, I've forgotten something very important. We would like to have a few comments from the judges on, before I say anything about the recitations, So could I start with Rachel?
Okay, first, you all did a really, really wonderful job. Okay? The thing that I enjoyed the most was that several of the students who did the recitation had props, for example, the cigarettes, or they wore a green suit jacket and a black turtleneck, like in Hillary Clinton's speech. It was the exact same as the picture up here. It's very, very good for your presence when you have these props to help show what kind of speech you want to give. These are really, really nice. My advice for next year is to please focus on pronunciation first. Speed comes after. but do your pronunciation first. I know we had a very short time, only 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and that can be really difficult. But there were a few points where it was very difficult to understand. For us, if we looked down and listened, we couldn't understand so easily. But if we watched your mouth, we could understand. This is a big difference. Okay? So please focus on pronunciation and then add speed. And you will sound a lot more native, like us. Okay?
Thank you very much, and great job. You all did a fantastic job. Everybody did a fantastic job. Really easy for us to do this. It's really enjoyable too. I was particularly impressed by the range of topics that you chose. I think quite often with speech contests, it's all going to be this or this or this, but you were kind of doing really stuff that was really kind of far out there, and it was really interesting to hear. I thought also it was incredibly impressive the way that you were able, that so many people were able to remember so much really difficult stuff, because some of those actually had words that weren't really words. They were just kind of, the TED Talk one was was kind of gobbledygook, just nonsense words, but you remembered all those perfectly. For next year, or for people who are doing this again, I would have the same point as Rochelle, which is speed. The faster you get, the more difficult it is for us to understand. So sometimes you kind of feel like you want to speed up, but when you get that feeling, kind of slow it down just a little bit. It will still be fast, but it will be easier for us to follow. Thank you very much.
The standard this year was really high. It's the highest I've ever seen it. Really, anybody could have won it. And everybody that gave a speech today is a winner. I mean, just to memorize a speech and stand up in front of your friends and speak it with passion and conviction, that's not easy. All 28 people that gave a speech recitation today were incredible. They were really good. It was so difficult to choose a winner. With all these winners here, what separated them was that the speech was theirs, that they didn't copy the person who gave the speech on the internet or on the TED Talk or whatever it was. It was their speech. It was their message. They owned it and they believed it. And it was very easy to tell that. So that was really good. They also had a very good use of pauses. Yeah. Of course, speaking is very important, but also pauses and silence is very important. So they were very good at making a point and building tension and getting louder and saying what was their really important point, and then pausing to let it sink in. And that's what they all did very well. My recommendation for next year is to be careful about wandering around the stage. Yeah. It's very tempting to just walk like this, but backwards and forwards without a purpose. It's good to move, but make sure when you move, you have a point to moving. And you're not just moving for the sake of it, but you have a reason to go from one place to another and then stop. And make sure you know why you're doing that and not just kind of wander around aimlessly, because it's a little bit distracting. But it was an amazing competition this year, so well done, everybody. Thank you.
And thank you to all the judges for their comments. And I would just restate, I had the most fun watching this year than any year. It was really great. So thank you very much, all of you. And thank you to everyone who came to watch and lend your support or supported them as they were producing or practicing. This is a really great event, and it makes us all feel really supercharged to just continue improving in our English language skills. I know that people have to leave. It's getting quite late, so we'll close here. I think there will be some photos for the winners here, and if you want to congratulate them, please stick around. But otherwise, thank you very much for coming. We will close the meeting. And if anybody wants to take a photo, yes. Thank you.